Hey everyone, and welcome to an Arabia game between MBL in the yellow playing as the Chinese, and Hera playing in the blue as the Spanish. I heard this was a really good game, but it was one of those late at night games when people weren't really around to cast it, so I figured I'd take a look at it as I'm recording it for YouTube. And it looks like this is just some standard version of Arabia maybe, and not King of the Desert Arabia, unless they added... Yeah, I guess it's not King of the Desert because they have boar and deer and sheep and cliffs instead of goats and stuff. So it doesn't say in the... Oh, ECL Arabia, great. So standard ECL Arabia just with desert stuff instead of grass. So completely standard Arabia game between MBL and Hera. Well, I guess not completely standard because there are sling nerfs, but that's not going to take place in a 1v1. But... Anyway, let's see, has MBL gone to lame? No, MBL, surprisingly, being known as a lamer, is not sending his scout forward to lame. He is simply scouting his own base and is even going to push in a deer. And this is a pretty far deer push. It is well behind this forest. At least he will discover his boar while he's pushing it in, and will discover 2 more sheep while the other sheep is coming around. Might have been nice, though, just to do a bit more scouting with the scout so he could have collected the sheep before pushing the deer. Then he could have used the 2 sheep to do some scouting, but at the very least, we'll get a deer in, and doing a very nice job of pushing this deer. Pretty much instantly, as soon as the deer moves, the scout's right after it, pushing it in. Oh, nice double little push there. Slightly late on the villagers, but probably wasn't expecting it to behave that well, and gets it right underneath the town center. So very well pushed by MBL there. And, oh, I like the graphics on these lumber camps. They look a bit weird, but I think I like them. Anyway, if we take a look at his map, one of those crater maps where you have big hills on the front of your base that make things tough to defend, especially with that forward stone. And that could be very dangerous versus a Spanish player. Spanish, of course, do build their towers more quickly, so they can be a threat to Trush. And pretty dangerous having this gold also near that forward hill. Does have pretty good safe wood lines in the back though, even though they are near a hill. And his other 2 goals are out here on the left side of the map. And he's bringing in the boar with 3 on wood. So as the Chinese, probably he will be going for his scouts. Can be difficult just due to the Dark Age start to have a good drush or men-at-arms because you kind of struggle to have the food to produce those units as early as you like. As you normally like. But we see now Hera is sending his scout forward to scout his opponent, and he will see... There, we see him do a good job coming down off the cliff and then turning his scout. A lot of probably newer players might have just kept running the scout forward here, but he can tell when he gets to the base of the hill and sees a big flat area, especially when he sees the straggler trees, he should be thinking, yes, the TC is probably in this area. Then he did a good job, comes around, sees the berries and the lumber camp, so now he knows exactly where MBL is, and he will see immediately 2 forward stones on the top of a hill. So we'll have to see how he responds to that. Does he try to do something aggressive? And MBL does a good job recognizing the scouts here, and uses his own scout to help prevent any shenanigans from going on while the villager brings in that boar. Looks like he might have neglected his town center gather point there for a moment, as the second villager had started walking over to the boar, but he'll rectify that right away and put the villager back on the wood line. And now, villager, looks like she took a tiny bit of damage, but as the Chinese, he'll have loom. A couple idle villagers under the TC, because he was microing that scout fight over here. And now the 2 players... no, Hera is not content just to fight it out. He's going to run his scout away, and being that slight higher part of the hill, he can go up there, force MBL not to fight downhill versus uphill, so he'll be able to get away. And now MBL has his other boar in, adding in a couple farms, so it looks like he's pretty safe. Assumption he at least had started going for scouts, but we'll see. It does have the 4th on wood now, maybe he wants to change that up. Meanwhile, it looks like Hera himself had 3 on wood, so he might be going for scouts. Spanish, of course, can also be pretty good with their own scouts. Looks like he had pushed in 2 deer. Let's see, there's 1, 2 there. And he'll have 2 gold piles in the back of his base on a hill. So either this could be good because it's in the back, but it's also could be bad if MBL is able to take that hill. Because if MBL takes that hill, it's going to be really hard to get control of those 2 golds. And his third gold also kind of on a hill pretty far away, but good for him is that one of the extra golds fairly close to his base. And oh, that's a lot of villagers going forward. Some probably going just for the stone mine. Yeah. So he has seen the 2 forward stone mines on MBL's base, and he wants to take advantage of this Spanish bonus to go for a trush. So the 3 on wood to start. One, you could use that to go for scouts. Another thing is you could use that to go up to the feudal age more quickly, since you'll have more villagers on food, and go for the tower rush or forward or whatever type of aggression you want to put on your opponent. He will run into 1 wolf and potentially a second. He's running his villagers through an area he hasn't found with his scout, and MBL should probably know this is coming, and we'll have to see how he defends this. And of course, this can be difficult to defend as the Chinese because of your different Dark Age. And so second wolf being killed by Hera has lost a bit of HP on those villagers. That could be important if he gets into a tower fight, but we'll have to see what is MBL scouting. Has the barracks, interesting barracks location at the bottom of that hill there. Not quite sure what he's going for. Probably would have thought to put it more over here. But yeah, we see Hera immediately walling in villagers. Will build these 2 watchtowers, no problem. And will immediately put a lot of pressure on MBL by taking this hill right at the start of the game. MBL sees the villagers on stone, has to run the scout away. Scout, of course, can't really fight villagers, especially a Dark Age scout, just by itself. And so these towers will go up, and so where does Hera go next? Does he try to control the gold, or does he try to control the berries? I'm thinking the next tower probably needs to be over here, control the berries and the wood lines, and if you do that, you could even send 1 villager to go and start walling in the gold. But MBL finally up to the feudal age, and he is putting down a stable and a defensive tower here on the berries and the wood line. Hera a bit slow in getting down that next tower because he didn't quite have the stone for it. But we see, yep, he is walling that stone in as MBL sends all of his villagers over here. He knows he has to defend this area. And, you know, probably not the best initial tower placement by Hera. I know he didn't want to be in range of the houses or stuff that could see it, but if he could have done those quick walls, gotten that tower a bit further over here while MBL was still in the Dark Age, could have done a lot more damage. But as it stands, MBL will defend this for now, as Hera goes over to take the gold, and opting, instead of palisading or walling the gold in like he did with the stone, instead actually to build a tower there, and he's going to use that. Oh, that wasn't a tower, that was an outpost. Just wants to build a house, continues scouting this way, as he sees MBL has another wood line back here. And what is MBL going to do now with these villagers? Meanwhile, we'll check on his stable real quick, starting to create scouts. Nothing back at Hera's base to defend from that yet, as MBL sending some villagers over here on the east side of his base to start building just a house to scout this out. And Hera not walling in these villagers under the tower, but MBL going to run away from that. Oh, no, he is going to fight Hera. Can he get a quick wall? Needs 1 piece of wall there. Oh, he got it, but stuff's coming in from behind as MBL sending his scouts not forward to Hera's base, but towards the villagers to help clean them up. And this tower exposed on the base and doesn't have another tower defending it, so MBL will be able to knock that down with villagers. But in doing so, looks like Hera's villas will probably get away, or at least do some more damage to that scout, as this other tower over here being taken out by MBL's villagers. And very nice defense by MBL, realizing that these 2 towers were separate, so he could just go for it with the villagers. But now Hera will get up another tower. It is underneath 2 of his own towers, so MBL won't be able to stop that with just villagers and scouts, but will at least be able to take out this tower on his gold, give him a bit more hope of later taking his control of his gold. Problem here for MBL now is that he spent a lot of villager time attacking those towers instead of collecting resources, and Hera can just go right back now that he has a tower behind it, either palisade that gold in completely or just build another tower on it. And yeah, he's going for another tower, and that tower also will do a good job of denying farm space for MBL. Meanwhile at home, Hera had seen the scouts, so he's palisaded in his stone mine, built a barrack so he can get out some spearmen, and hasn't even really been taking the berries. Could, once he gets a couple spears on his wood line, make an extra spear to defend the berries, and instead of going to farms, go to the berries instead. Right now MBL doing a bit of house walling in the back. Don't know if this house wall will be effective. It's pretty far from the town center and would really have to we'd really have to see this farm be deleted to be able to get an effective wall there. But Hera continuing just to build stuff around that gold mine still will be annoying if MBL tries to send miners there. Eventually he'll have restricted space, or maybe even need to take out the houses and the palisades. And even the blacksmith position also kind of blocking access to that gold. Meanwhile, MBL has gone over to his secondary stone. Yeah, Hera had gone so far over here to tower and didn't bother to lame this stone. So a bit of a missed opportunity from Hera. Could have denied this stone as well. Right now, MBL sending one villager forward and has a couple of scouts out, but nope, Hera already has a spearman, built that barracks. MBL had spent time using the scouts to help clean up the towers in his base, so didn't send them forward enough in time to do damage to Hera's base. Now Hera has up walls and spearmen, so he's really safe from scouts. And MBL not going to be able to do too much damage as Hera gets fletching coming in. That will give his towers a bit of extra range. And now MBL has to put up a second defensive tower on this other wood line here. So now he'll have 2 defensive towers up, defending both parts of his economy. Can Hera see this? He can see the villager building there. Should probably assume it's a tower. And MBL's tower will go up first, but these Spanish towers build more quickly. So maybe it won't be that big of a difference. And yeah, it looks like Hera will get his tower up too. MBL not even going to be able to garrison fast enough, and all the villagers are inside of that. They'll heal up a bit as the towers now start fighting each other. And MBL will try to keep this tower repaired. Fortunately for him, he probably has more HP on the villagers inside of his tower. So if they do get into a big repair war, MBL probably will have the advantage. As we see, Hera already has a bit of HP lost and tries to jump out and hop back in. Meanwhile, we have quite a few scouts from MBL, and that forward villager is building an archery range, so now he will have tools, adding in archers to be able to take out spearmen. And where is he taking gold? He's taking gold on the left side of his base. This was a really vulnerable gold, but Hera didn't try to control it, just building the towers around the front of MBL's base, but not taking control of the secondary resources. Could always go for some stone walls or palisade walls or something over here just to control them, because you know that you're going to be denying stuff. You want to deny everything. But of course that does require a lot of scouting, and it will slow down your towers a bit if you go for stone walls. But for now, Hera is pretty well entrenched in this part of MBL's base. Ooh, losing a villager there, and probably will lose that tower. But now the question will be, say, fletching and archers. What type of damage will MBL be able to do with those archers? Because Hera has not started putting defensive towers around his base, so he will be vulnerable to forward archers. Continuing just to do stuff with the forward villagers, might as well have them build your house. But now Hera is going to start running into the problem that his villagers have been idle for quite a long time, not gathering any resources, just building some towers. Of course, doing a lot of damage with those towers, but will it be enough to put him ahead? And he's going to maybe build a mining camp on this gold. Lumber camp over here at 99 wood, so can't place the foundation. Finally losing that tower, MBL will regain access to his wood line, and looks like he's going not for gold, but for wood. Meanwhile, archers are coming in. They have denied that stone, as Hera is trying to throw up a watchtower on his wood line. Surprised he's not building that with more villagers. Archers could come in, but no. They're not, as they have to get back to defend the scouts from the spearmen. The spearmen will now go down to the archers. There's not much they can do against archers. And villagers back here, still this so close to the town center, I can't really see MBL doing too much harassment on them. The big thing though is that this stone has been secured, and Hera right now only has 49 stone, not enough to build another castle. I mean another tower, not in the castle age yet. So how is he going to defend these gold piles here? Looks like he might be going for the nifty collect food from a deer and then build a mining camp strategy, which is always a fun strategy. There's a few houses coming up to wall the back of his base. Archers are now coming over. What has MBL scattered? He has to have scattered these golds by now. Yes, he has. There's just a few towers still in his base, still doing a bit of harassment, but main part of his economy now safe, even putting up some more towers on it. Did lose that stone with that tower. Might have been better to get the tower here so it would be defended, but does accomplish the job of denying the stone, at least for now. Now, archers will deny a few farms from Hera, and actually will stop the gold. That is key. Now, how is Hera going to take that gold? He does have... Or MBL is just about to click up to the castle age. And if he's able to get up before Hera, he could put a lot of pressure onto him and just a bit more food. And there he goes, up to the next stage. He will be the first one up. Hera losing a couple more scouts. And he has to put down a stable. So not an archery range. He is the Spanish, so he can't make crossbows. But we'll go for a stable. And probably will go for knights. He doesn't have much stone left over from that trush. Though he is gathering stone from somewhere. I don't know where. Ah, looks like those villagers ran away from the archers and put the lumber camp up here to drop off their food. Interesting, interesting. Hera is getting stone from somewhere. Oh, is he long distance mining it? No, but his stone count is going. Oh, he must be forward stone. Ah, he's forward stone on MBL's base. So he could potentially put up a castle and go for some conquistadors. And the question is, what is MBL going to do with the Chinese? We see two stables and bloodlines. So Chinese versus Spanish. Spanish can have a difficult time dealing with camels, in part because they do not have access to those crossbowmen. So if you are going heavy into knights, you don't really have an option for fighting the camels. And of course, conquistadors do get, they take bonus damage from camels. So camels are actually one of the more effective Castle Age units at dealing with conquistadors, if there does exist such a thing, as conquistadors do pretty much own nearly all Castle Age units. MBL doing a great job expanding out here, and he's able to do this because he knows Hera has no army at this point. So he's safe here just with a couple towers, and he knows that he doesn't need to worry about like walling it up or defending it too much because he's seen Hera's towers and he knows exactly where they are, and these towers aren't going to be moving. Question is, as Hera gets up and he's able to add some more, probably starting with knights, how will MBL be able to adapt to that? Because right now Hera has watchtowers defending the important parts of his base, so MBL will need probably more than just these archers to push in. He can't upgrade them to crossbow. And oh, just now doing horse collar. That's a rather late horse collar, so he will have kind of a weak economy, but then again, these farms didn't really build too many farms. Oh, those are some interesting looking stables. But anyway, MBL starting out with knights, and oh wait, he is the Chinese. He will be able to get crossbows. What am I saying? It's Hera who's the Spanish and won't be able to get the crossbows. Ah, there we are. Hera now adding in knights and immediately a siege workshop because he knows he doesn't have enough to defend against crossbowmen. Towers are nice, but once you get crossbows, you really need more than just single towers. Double towers can do a good job, but crossbows, they can kind of, get into those little cracks where the towers aren't covering and still pick off villagers. And knights, meanwhile, they can get underneath towers. We see MBL's already done +1, and oh, great job by MBL to deny this town center. And he will kill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 villagers. And he's pushing in underneath this tower, and things are looking really bad right now for Hera. And those villagers underneath the tower going down. The knights already starting to pick off the knights from Hera, and Hera just doesn't have the army to defend this. He does have a tower here, but crossbows could walk underneath it, could stay out here to deny the town center, and Hera has had to put up a market, and oh, 98%, that is painful. And if you look at the population difference, that's a difference of 30 population. As the mangonel now comes out, gets a nice hit on the crossbows. A couple of knights here to defend, so not going to be able to have fancy micro with the crossbows with knights nearby. But Monastery out also for Hera. He is in full-on defensive mode with Siege Workshop and Monastery. So spending his wood there. Meanwhile, MBL is able to spend his wood on a town center, so he'll be able to add in more economy, and he already has an 11 villager lead. We'll look to expand on that as Hera... These villagers, I guess these wood villagers were the ones building that town center, and now he's sending a ton of villagers out to the town center, trying to get a mangonel hit on the crossbows, not quite getting it. Doesn't have his monk in position to engage the knights, and looks like this mangonel will go down as he does at least finish the town center, but another monk coming out. Might be able to get one, yep, does get one conversion, as the tower will force the crossbows away. So Hera has taken some damage, but now he has been able to stabilize just a bit. And now if you look at the military count, still really far behind MBL, but the key thing is what can that military do? Crossbows can't really engage, but they can walk underneath towers and stop gold from being mined. There we go, so not quite positioned as well as they could be. It can be really hard to right-click stuff, and oh, that's kind of sloppy there, losing the crossbows to the tower. And oof, that was rough, just didn't quite have them positioned in the right spot. Needed to bring them around just a bit better, and then just ended up losing everything to the tower. Didn't even need to wall the tower. Now, Knights trying to clean up the towers in MBL space will do a good job of cleaning up these singular ones, but MBL needs to be careful that he doesn't end up losing Knights like this to towers. Gotta pay attention to them. I know it's so hard because in games like this you have to pay attention to both sides of the map and your economy. But let's see here. Hera now moving out with some monks, and not really going to fall into the trap of making too many knights. He probably knows that the Chinese have the tools to deal with that with their camels and also good monks of their own. So he will be taking advantage of their Spanish monastery, and Spanish monks are of course quite good, as the Chinese are now getting out some camels. We'll be able to take some good fights versus the knights. Just MBL needs to not take little fights like this, losing a bit of HP on those knights. And here we go, here is that forward castle from Hera, as he will be making some conquistadors from that castle. And nothing MBL really can do to take back either his stone or his gold. And I guess we know one extra gold is here. Oh, the extra stone even over here on Hera's side of the map as well. And another extra gold out here at the towards the northeast part of the map. But now Hera has a castle, and it is conquistador time. He's adding in his wheelbarrow and gold mining economic upgrades. And now has a group of knights and some monks, but doesn't have the military numbers. Does he see these crossbows coming from the side? Yes, he does. That tower giving him some nice line of sight, so he knows he shouldn't be fighting there. Even though with the monks he might have won the fight against the knights and the camels with some converts, with the crossbows coming in, they would kill the monks from behind. And now bloodlines for Hera, of course a good upgrade because it also gives you more HP for your not just knights, but for conquistadors as well. And all the farms by the town center are abandoned and pushed out by the mill. That means it's really important for MBL to keep his army in the right position so that the knights can't get back here and do some damage. If MBL lets Hera run past him into his economy, then there's nothing defending this part back here. Here he's pretty safe because he still has stables and barracks there. Ooh, not even adding in archery ranges, so maybe going for skirmishers. Maybe he feels he needs some type of trash unit, and we'll be adding skirmishers to try to fight conquistadors and monks. But now the knights with +1 armor. Meanwhile, MBL has +1/+1. And bloodlines, of course, running underneath the town center. And this is the damage the knights can do underneath the town center. Imagine what they could do back here where there's no town center. But this is why it's so important for MBL to have his camels in the right position so that they can engage the knights, force them to run away before they're able to attack those farms. So yeah, good job by MBL bringing the camels there just in time. And he's going to bring the crossbowmen over behind that to try to hit the knights as they run away. Or he needs to fire. There we go. Firing manages to pick off a couple of knights. So a bit of idle time there. Good job by Hera to idle that, but does go in slightly too far, ends up losing a couple of knights. Meanwhile, on the left side, time for conquistadors to do their work. And now MBL, he's cleaned up that attack on the right, needs to bring the camels over to the left. And of course, Hera doing one attack and then another lets MBL run these camels back and forth across his base. If he could manage to have enough army to attack both sides at the same time, that could be good. But MBL does have his crossbowmen patrolling over here, so can use the camels to defend against conquistadors over here, keep the crossbows against the small number of knights on the right side, and he'll be safe. And so really well played, but you can tell both these players are really good. And let's see, so Hera still on 2 town centers and has caught up in villagers. Oh, actually he's on 3 town centers. Has caught up in villagers as MBL still looks like he's on 2 town centers. But that's a lot for Hera to keep running. 3 town centers and conquistadors and knights. And yep, those are the elite skirmishers for MBL, just to try to have some extra units out on the field. He does have the bigger military, but numbers don't matter when you're fighting conquistadors sometimes because they're so strong. But ooh, MBL up to the Imperial Age. 2 town center Imperial Age play. So I guess he really wants to get to the Imperial Age so he can take out these towers and this castle. Doesn't really have stone, so won't have a castle of his own for trebuchets. So he might be going for rams. Still not quite sure what he's going to do with that early imp time, but he is going Imperial Age early. And nothing really to pressure Hera on the front. Hera does have some town centers all over the place, a couple of defensive towers. Vulnerable area would be kind of right in the middle, but again, that is in the middle. With this few knights, could idle a town center, but probably will take enough losses on the knights that it might not be worth it, unless he adds in a few more knights. Only having 5 already injured ones. But we see he hasn't done any of the other upgrades. Hera also still only on +1. In terms of ranged upgrades, he does have fletching and bodkin arrow on the skirmishers and the crossbows, but no armor upgrades. Those are also good because the town centers will now be able to have a bit more attack for dealing with raiding units. That can be extra good versus conquistadors with their 3 pierce armor. Same thing against the knights. Anytime you can remove that armor, you're able to do a lot more damage. And now Hera is slightly overextending with the conquistadors, but wisely gets back. And he is also up to the Imperial Age himself, a bit over a minute slower than MBL, and he will have the stronger economy since he was on 3 town centers for quite a while longer than MBL. And we'll see, will he be able to push? He needs to equalize these military numbers, as it's about 57 to 17. But MBL has been using all of his military for defense so far. Maybe just maybe missing an opportunity to push out into Hera's base, but even without any walls, we see just the way Hera's positioned his town centers and these 2 towers, he's been able to do a good job of keeping his base safe. These 2 are kind of positioned out of necessity, but with MBL investing into camels instead of knights, camels aren't able to stand underneath town centers and towers as well. So he's decided just to keep them back and defend. And oh, I missed that in the Siege Workshop. That is a lot of rams. That's 7 rams, and he's doing capped rams. And he's got to have another Siege Workshop somewhere. Yeah, this one doesn't have any rams in it, but it's doing capped rams. So he is going to aim to break out, use his earlier Imperial Age time to take out this castle. But Hera knows this one might be in danger, but doesn't want to give it up, so he's building a second castle behind, but deleting it. That's going to waste a bit of stone. Does he still have stone for another castle? He does. It's right there on the 666 stone. But MBL coming forward with 8 battering rams. And monks are going to be less effective with all the skirmishers there. Camels will come in from behind, and Hera is going to lose this castle, lose this forward, and MBL will do a great job of cleaning that up. Had just had a much larger army there, Hera could not engage, so he will be forced to run back. So great job there by MBL, taking advantage of that early Imperial time. And now Hera, before, he was relying on having all of this pressure on MBL's base to keep MBL behind. Now it's going to be he who has the stronger economy and will need to hold out until that economy is able to kick him and give him an advantage. He is up to the Imperial Age doing the Onager upgrade. I guess he knows that if he does build another castle, he'll need to protect it from all of those rams, so will be good to get some Onagers stationed behind it. His castle now going down, towers will go down, and MBL finally. Well, this stone has been pretty much all mined out by Hera, but will at least gain access to his gold. Hera did manage to mine one pile almost all the way and another pile pretty well, but he'll be able to move out, build a town center. So that's his 3rd town center now. So he's on 1, 2, yep, that'll be town center 3. And now Hera on this hill in the front of his base. MBL can't really attack under that castle there, but Hera will be forced to basically fire and retreat with his conquistadors, as he does not want them to take a close-up fight versus the camels. But camels can't stand underneath the town centers as well as knights can, so they will run away. But they will run to be able to harass stuff. And now it's Hera who needs to position his army carefully. He can garrison town centers to protect villagers from the elite skirmishers, but the harder task is keeping the melee units out from underneath. But oh, a second castle right in that vulnerable area in the middle of Hera's economy, so he knows he wants to keep those farms alive. As the camels are moving in, trying to take a fight on those knights, but the castle will go up, and that could be a bit of an overextension, but nope, he's getting out of there just in time. castle goes up, isn't even really able to fire at the camels. And now we know Hera did do the Onager upgrade. Can he get a good Onager shot on those skirmishers? Maybe engage with the Conquistadors, get MBL trying to micro, because he does have 2 Onagers. Even if he does dodge 1, which would be a downhill shot on the skirmishers. Camels probably won't kill it in time, but no, he's going to keep it inside there. Oh man, that could have been a big shot on the skirmishers. Right, here come the Rams forward. And of course, maybe not taking it out is the right play, because he does want the Onagers to kill the Rams. So we'll want to keep them alive for now. So there they go. And you will see the Rams over here. And you can tell he wants that Onager shot. And let's see, he's moving in with MBL's moving in with Rams on the castle. Hera is moving in with villagers just to stand in front of the Rams a bit, then walk next to them, and finally attack. But MBL's army here, big enough, it probably will be able to just kill all 5 of those villagers. So, a few villagers down for Hera, but he still has a big villager lead. Meanwhile, the Onagers in the back doing what Hera wants them to do, take out the Rams. And now the question is, how do you defend them against the Knights and the Camels? As they are getting off some good shots against the skirmishers, but just needs to keep them alive. As long as he can keep one of them alive, he should be okay. Gets an uphill Onager shot, doesn't really hit anything. Needs to kill that camel, but gets a decent shot on the skirmishers. Another shot. Nope, Hera's bringing in lots of villagers from behind to repair, but he does have that Onager on 2 HP, just managing to keep it alive, and he will manage to take out these battering rams. There's a couple of knights there that could be attacking too, and this castle will stay up, and that is a huge loss for MBL, losing all of his rams, and that castle stays up. But the good news for MBL is that he has control of his gold again, and wow, this is a great back and forth game right here. That knight not attacking the ram. Hera must have his knights on stand ground or something, but they're not attacking. Anyway, finally that ram, one more hit and will be taken out by the Onager, and castle stays up, and Hera will have two castle conquistador production, so we'll be going for the dreaded double castle conks. And see, he does see the extra gold, and he is building a town center on the extra stone. Has not scattered the other extra gold, and neither has MBL. But MBL now sending some light cavalry into Hera's base. Hera, of course, not walled, and trying to throw up some farms in the back. That's kind of dangerous because the light cavalry will just get in there and he will have to run. So no defensive structures back here. Hill going to prevent any type of town center. No tower there. And now that the light cav are in, and they do have the 2+4 armor, they can do a pretty decent job of doing raiding underneath town centers even. And even if they're not killing anything here, that's a lot of idle time. Oh, and Avil doesn't go down, but will run into the wolf. And the wolf, at 48 minutes and 7 seconds, will get a kill on that villager. Always nice to see the wolves get involved. But now MBL, we see military count still in favor of MBL, but just skirmishers not as powerful a unit as conquistadors, and has a lot of idle villagers because he finished that gold at the front of his base. And it's good that he's already started making the transition into trash units, because now all he has left is his main gold until, looks like he will scout the extra gold though. And will Hera scout that? Yes, both of them now will know where the extra gold is. And Hera will be moving out towards it. And MBL looks like he'll be moving out towards it as well. These villagers out here trying to find the extra resources on the map. And now engagement on the front as Hera losing some conquistadors to the skirmishers. But conquistadors and camels, of course, units that in theory should counter the skirmishers, and camels should in theory counter the conquistadors, but so much micro potential with the conquistadors. They're so mobile, they can shoot camels and run away. They can just run away from skirmishers. And Hera can go for this slow but powerful push with castles and inch forward with this line of 1, 2, 3 castles. And not just any castles, but castles on hills. Problem is, how's he going to defend the back of this base? No walls, and would need to go for some pretty big walls at this point to keep MBL out. And MBL is going for some sneaky stables up here at the top of the map, doing iron casting to upgrade his other units, and hasn't scattered the other extra resources on the map, so probably doesn't know that Hera is taking them. Could probably guess where they are since he hasn't found them yet. But now both players adding stables up here, and does Hera see this villager? Will he pay attention to it? No. could show up on the mini-map for him as it was walking past. And nope, now it's hidden again. Oh, now it's visible, but hidden again. And now stables for MBL. And he'll be looking to get out some more raiding. And kind of... Oh, MBL has gotten to a good number of villagers now, 122. But Hera, he has a lot of villagers. He's at 155. He's just going for all the villagers he can. And with the extra resources and probably the stronger military units, this could give him a pretty big advantage if he doesn't lose too much due to MBL's stronger military. So MBL will be now going with these stables and with his own army to attack these villagers on the extra golds. Now Chuko Nu, I would imagine that Chuko Nu can do a pretty decent job of dealing with conquistadors, but it will probably be difficult for them actually to catch the conquistadors. As the conch spy against those light cav. Oh, nothing's gonna fight there. No patrols, just kind of moving. And let's see, there we go. Conquistador is firing at the light cav as Hera... Ooh, Hussar already has out Hussar of his own. Do Chinese get Hussar? I always forget that. Let's just check that real quick. They do not get Hussar. Alright, so MBL will have to stick to light cavalry. Don't hold up quite as well. Look at the HP, that's 80 compared to 95. So won't stand up to TC and arrow fire credit quite as well as the Hussar will. And this looks to be the main engagement, as the conquistadors are going to fire and run away, and fire and run away. Or just stand and fire since the light cav aren't really attacking them. And he's just going to need to find some way to engage the Chuko Nu. He did have the Onager research from earlier, but Chuko Nu, they die to Onagers, but they also do a pretty good job of killing them with the way they attack. But and either way, fighting Chuko Nu, it's pretty necessary that you have the Onagers there, because Chuko Nu just completely eat up rams. And MBL not going for this relic yet, but he does have going for the secret market strategy. Now, I doubt we'll see him try to sneak some trade carts into Hera's market, but that would always be interesting. And more scouts will just be coming forward to raid as the Chuko Nu, too small numbers will die to the conquistadors. And Siege Workshop's going up for Hera. He wants to take out those stables, doesn't want to continue being raided from the back of his base. And Chuko Nu taking out some more units on the front here. As his scout just going to attack the mining camp, but all the action looks to be up here as the camel's trying to come forward and take some better fights. And even a couple of leftover crossbowmen. But then the camels versus Hussar will be good for MBL. Other than the fact that camels cost gold, but they are the pretty much the natural counter to Hussar in that they have bonus attack and, unlike Halves, do have the speed to catch up to them. And now skirmishers will be able to do some damage to the conchs, and this will just be very much a cost-effective fight for MBL. He probably doesn't have the better army here, but does have the cheaper one. As Hera will try to micro away and will, I guess, just try to keep this army here until the Hussar get in place to engage. But can the Chuko Nu take out the Hussar before they can do too much damage to the skirms? But now MBL is just going to retreat, and trying further to control this area of the map, he's going to decide to use his stone, place the tower up here. And Hera now basically has had access to all three of the extra resources now, two of them completely uncontested. But still, if you look at the KD, he's ahead in KD and has a huge villager lead. But the problem is going to be, how does he deal with this raiding from MBL when he's not walled at home? And we do have the farm glitch, where the farms do not have the correct texture. So we'll just have to pretend that... Oh no, there's even more over here. I was going to pan away, but I found more. Oh, back here, Onager is being taken out by the light cav, not able to get a good fight on the Chuko Nu. Now here's the part of the game where the Spanish have kind of survived the camel threat from the Chinese, but now they have to deal with the Chuko Nu threat. And MBL now doing Thumb Ring. I don't actually know how Thumb Ring affects Chuko Nu. I bet there's some very weird things that it does to them. Just like everything about the Chuko Nu is weird. But more scouts coming over to this area, and MBL is going to continue pressuring that extra gold. He wants to take Hera off of that extra gold. And if you look at the gold counts, Hera doesn't have much gold left, but MBL actually has slightly more despite not taking the extra golds. And that just kind of comes down to the fact that he's Chuko Nu, and those few camels he was making earlier are a lot cheaper than the conquistadors. He was able to take fights with elite skirmishers, and the only real gold investment that was wasted for him was those rams, but that was, at this point in the game, quite a while ago. And it looks like we're going to be settling in for a long Imperial War, as the conquistadors are going to come in and start doing some damage to MBL's villagers, taking out a few of them on that gold mine, as MBL garrisons the town center. Yeah, I guess the one thing I don't like about the architecture mod is the super tall Imperial Age town centers. Other than that, I really do like, I think these stables look really cool, and these castles too. And as the towers, there's just like a reskinned wall. But anyway, now there's some more fighting over here, but not much in this area to fight over other than MBL trying to hold the hill. Hera will push in with some trebuchets to start taking out this castle, and if anything, the best thing that will do is cut out MBL's Chuko Nu production. The vulnerable area of MBL's base really is back here, where if some Huts get in there, they can do a lot of damage and kill quite a few villagers. But the Chuko Nu, we got to see how great they are at taking out those rams, that they just fire so many arrows the rams just die instantly. But no real way for him to take out the Treb, so it looks like he's probably trying to repair that castle, but he's out of stone, and probably will end up losing it. And Hera, with all these extra resources, and with the score lead, with the great kill-death ratio, in a very, very strong position, other than MBL, kind of managing to push forward with Chuko Nu. Question is, how does the Spanish player deal with Chuko Nu, other than, well, onagers, right? He does have the onager research already. So will he make some onagers here? How will he protect them from the light cav? And slowly but surely he's pushing in, taking control of these hills, taking out the stables that will stop the Hussar production, stop some of the raiding on the left side of the base. Hera is putting up the castles in the middle of his base, so they will be able to fight against the light cav, but that's a lot of idle time on the TCs. If you look at that, Hera just had 30 idle villagers there for a moment. And MBL still, he had lost the hill for a moment, but managed to take it back. And this hill is going to be crucial for MBL to hold, because it protects his, I think that might be his final castle actually. No, he has 2 castles, and those castles are going to be his Chuko Nu production. And Chuko Nu is probably the most difficult unit for the Spanish to deal with at this stage of the game. As Hussar are trying to attack uphill, that's not going to work too well, but that one there will be taken out by the light cav. And MBL continuing to push in on the right side of Hera's base, slowly but surely gaining some ground. As Chuko Nu trying to take a fight against light cav and the elite conks, and it's so important that the Hussars stay in front of the conks here so that the Chuko Nu target them and not the conquistadors. Now that they're kind of down and that the ram is there, the conquistadors will automatically target the ram, while the Chuko Nu will be targeting the conquistadors. And lots of conquistadors going down for Hera. It's like MBL's army is starting to get cleaned up, but that was probably a cost-effective fight for him, as now we really have 2 fronts. As these blue palisade walls on the map are going to be distracting, so I'm going to see that and I'm going to think, oh, there's army there, but no, it's just absolutely nothing. Fight is still going on up here, as we're going to see another wave from Hera as he pushes in with the Hussar and the Halberdier. MBL's trying to run away with the Chuko Nu, trying to save as many as he can, and we'll try to group them up with some more Chuko Nu reinforcements from behind, and they'll come forward and attack the Hussar and force actually the conquistadors to run away. will actually have some damage done to his rams here, almost lose one. And Hera just now doing Bracer. As the Spanish, he does have all 3 trash units, and they do receive all of the blacksmith upgrades. And we've seen the Chinese already, they don't get Hussar, only Light Cav. They do get Elite Skirm and Halbs, and we'll check their blacksmith real quick. They actually get all of the blacksmith upgrades as well. I am on the Chinese player, yep. So all of the blacksmith upgrades, the only trash unit they are missing is the Hussar. So also pretty good trash, just missing 1 upgrade, but it's a pretty crucial upgrade if you're going to be sending these units into raid versus an unwalled opponent. And big group of Hussar here trying to all fit through a narrow passageway. And Treb out here in the open. MBL will lose a lot of light cav in taking out the Treb, but taking out Treb is always a good thing. And now that the Hussar are running forward, we'll be getting into MBL's base, but up here, MBL will slowly but surely be pushing in with Chuko Nu and Rams. Conquistadors probably won't be able to fight that off by themselves, but the Hussar are running, trying to get into the weak parts of MBL's eco, but running right underneath a castle and right underneath a group of Chuko Nu. So losing quite a few Hussar there, and now MBL will be chasing that down with light cav, and actually pretty much the worst path those Hussar could have taken through MBL's base, running into both army and that castle, and MBL will have to engage down there to clean them up. Meanwhile, up here, still Conquistadors taking the hill, trying to hold the hill as Chuko Nu just going to stand away from them, use the rams to clean up the stables. But now Hussar fighting against Light Cav and against Chuko Nu will be cleaned up. So that was a huge group of Hussar that Hera just wasted, not really being able to spread them out. And another great castle position, no walls, but forcing the Hussar to run through a castle. What MBL really can't allow is for Hussar to get back here. And oh man, I think that monastery is pretty beautiful. Just needs to garrison the relic. There we go. But yeah, it's this area of MBL's economy that's really weak. Not too much wood being collected back there. But also this area that's also weak too, where there's just a few villages on the wood line. And this looks to be one of those games where it might come down to wood control. And the question will be which player is able to secure more wood. I'm gonna grab a drink of water there as this fight is now happening at the top of the map as the Chuko Nu and Conquistadors finally looks like they're going to stand and fight for a minute. And skirmishers now coming in for Hera, trying to keep the skirmishers in front so that the skirmishers are tanking the Chuko Nu fire and not the Conquistadors. But that's kind of difficult because your Conquistadors have such limited range. Chemistry now coming in for Hera to give his ranged units another 1 attack. And Chuko Nu killing a lot of units. And we see that KD slowly but surely starting to inch back in MBL's favor. Harris still does have the score lead. And he's trying to sneak an Onager forward. Will that Onager be able to get a good shot on the Chuko Nus? Not with this pathfinding, it won't. And MBL is going to run away, run back to the hill. And maybe forced to engage due to this trebuchet, but that will be difficult as some light cav trying to come in from the side. Snipe the Onager. Oh, but great job by Hera to repair it with these villagers. And MBL will be running his army away as he's trying to take control of this gold now. And if we check the other extra resources, they're already mined out. And MBL just has some light cav in a few spots in Hera's eco, but Hera has the Hussar there ready to defend against it. A couple back here will kill some villagers, but Hera has so many villagers. Might even be a good thing for him to lose villagers so he can add in more army. Question is, these Conquistador numbers, they are slowly dwindling. And he doesn't really have the gold to keep producing them. So we're going to start moving into the stage of the game where gold is no longer as important and wood becomes important. Because you need wood to make farms. Wood is the only way to get more food at this point. And whoever controls the most wood is going to probably end up controlling the game. And it looks like the woods in the center of the map right now are more under the control of MBL than they are from Hera. Hera is still chopping the woods towards the back. He will have this wood line up here. Great job by MBL having a light cav there ready to attack any villagers on the wood. And oh, Hera actually has some gold that he hasn't finished mining. What? Okay, maybe he's just waiting to chop the wood. He's probably just not noticed that. But, oh, he does have a gold miner there, just had been garrisoned in a castle. But now the fighting has shifted from the east to the west as MBL trying to again push into these castles on the left-hand side, moving a ram forward, but only has a single trebuchet, just now bringing up the second. And how much stone does Hera have? He is almost out of stone. Good thing is the castle is on a hill, and he is doing hoardings, which will give the castle more hit points and allow it to stay alive a bit longer as he's buying some stone to continue repairing it. And Conquistadors have a strong position on that hill to take out the light cavalry. And we'll be using light cav, kind of splitting them up around that siege workshop, pretty well positioned to be annoying to the light cav. The extra buildings here serve as a good shield to keep units away from the Conquistadors, but Chuko Nu, slowly but surely, Conquistadors have come a bit too far forward, being taken out by the Chuko Nu. And how is Hera going to take out these trebuchets? He doesn't even have the gold to make a trebuchet of his own, and with only Conquistadors, not going to be able to fight against the Chuko Nu. And even with hoardings, 2 trebuchets is something you can repair against, but you can't really repair when you don't have much stone. Some of his army is a bit idle. And MBL, nice job with the light cav. Just a few light cav, but they're in position to take out the onagers, and he's been doing a great job of that. But now with more army and more onagers coming in, MBL is forced to move away. And Hera, it looks like he did try to go for the economy approach with more villagers rather than the military approach, and does still have the better KD. He's kind of been hovering around that 50 to 60 mark. But after a while, MBL, just if he can keep his army alive, will start to take much better and better fights. And we see the score is only 1,000 difference at this point in the game. Still could be won by either player. And Onager trying to hit the trebs, gets off only one shot. And this castle continuing to lose HP, continuing to force Hera to sell resources so that he has enough gold to buy stone. And I think what MBL really wants to do is manage to get the Chuko Nus to attack the Conquistadors, as right now they're fighting light cavs and skirmishers, and that's not the best way to use them. I also really like the use of this stable here that really blocks MBL from being able to get melee units to attack the trebs. That's just really nice positioning of the units there by MBL. And Castle now going down. Only 2 trebuchets from MBL, but he's able to keep them alive. Nothing Hera can really do to push into them. Rams can be taken out by the onagers, but now light cav, how did they get back here even? Taking out an onager. And this hill starting to be taken away. Hera has not invested into Halberdier, just going for pretty much a skirmish with Conquistador approach, and that has made his siege units pretty vulnerable to the light cav. Maybe he thinks that halbs are not worth it because they will be fighting Chuko Nu, and the Chuko Nu absolutely shred halbs, but I think he kind of does need some just to protect his onagers from the light cav. And now as this fighting up here kind of has ended, but it's ended with MBL in control of that gold, and perhaps more importantly at this stage of the game, in control of that wood line, and basically in control of this wood line too, as he's getting some light cav up underneath Hera's town centers, and crucially denying Hera from collecting wood. And the Hussar light cav still skirmishing in the middle of the map, as that KD still, it's hovering around 50 to 60, but that means there was a difference earlier in the game. At this point now, the 2 players are starting to trade more equally. That score difference still hovering around 1,000, and it looks like some of these light cav have been cleaned up by Hera. And still Hera with more villagers, MBL with more military, having slight differences in the way they're playing this late game. Ooh, heavy Scorpion from MBL. So that's a nice upgrade kind of at this stage of the game when you're floating a lot of food and wood. You check MBL. Well, not so much anymore because he's doing that upgrade, but it's around, I think, 1,100 wood and 1,000 food. Maybe I got those flipped, but the key is that it doesn't cost any gold. The units themselves cost gold, the upgrade doesn't. And now we're seeing some bombard cannons out from Hera. And maybe the bombard cannons, because they do have 12 range, so they might be a bit more effective than the onagers at taking fights against the Chuko Nu, who only has 7 range. As we see them getting a couple hits on the Chuko Nu, but now they're fighting on a hill with pretty much all trash units, but all trash versus Chuko Nu. And now, what is that Scorpion doing? It's going to be killing elite skirmishers. That's what MBL wants the Scorpions to do. Give him another method to deal with the elite skirmishers. And Hussar going down, but they do manage to pick off a couple Scorpions, but still, MBL pushing in on the right side, and we see that score difference now starting just so slowly to inch closer and closer, and it looks like MBL is coming back. And Hussar on the right hand side still engaging in battle as Chuko Nu doing some damage from behind. And things have kind of stalled out here, but the big push is going to be on the left hand side. This castle here, will that castle go down or will it stay up? Now, still, I think this still could go to either player. The problem is, earlier in the game we saw that big mass of conquistadors that MBL wasn't really able to kill. Now we're seeing a big mass of Chuko Nu, and the question is, can Hera do something to kill these Chuko Nu? Because see, MBL, he doesn't have the gold to replace those Chuko Nu. If Hera can get this to a point where they're both just playing in a trash war, could be his advantage because he does have that extra, the extra Hussar upgrade, which the Chinese civilization lacks. But he really would like to keep that castle alive. Just how is he going to take those Trebs out? Is he going to sacrifice tons of Hussar to do it? And would that even be able to do it with all those Chuko Nu there? Oh, but what he does have is a bombard cannon. Now, that's a very low HP bombard cannon, but nevertheless, it is a bombard cannon. He's out of stone, so the castle can't be repaired anymore. Trebuchets continue to fire, and slowly but surely, MBL starting to lose ground, and perhaps more importantly, starting to lose some of his Chuko Nu, trying to fight uphill. Hera is buying more stone, desperately trying to keep the castle alive, and he manages to take out one trebuchet. That's huge because it makes it so much easier to repair the castle now. And sacrificing a lot to kill the treb, but finally he does manage to take it out. And MBL slowly losing Chuko Nu numbers, but now the main focus of Hera's army there was indeed the treb. So those Chuko Nu will get away, and they will leave to fight another day. And they will protect that ram from the Hussar. Meanwhile, on the top of the map, still a bit of raiding. Just this constant raiding MBL has been able to do all game that Hera really hasn't been able to match. And just nice positioning of his stables, spreading the stables out to different parts of the map, letting the Hussar get, or the light cav get into the eco. That's a lot of Hussar from Hera to defend, but again, we saw that for a long time, Hera was the one behind in military that was stretching the Hussar out of it. But now we see this change in population. This dip, is this just a temporary dip where MBL can repair, or is this a permanent dip where he's going to find it difficult to get military out to equal Harris at this point? He still is behind in villagers, and let's take a quick look at their achievements to check their economies. We see that difference in villager is, look at all that extra food Harris collected, and even, pretty even on gold, had that extra stone in his base, but this is the key difference, is the wood. And how is the wood going to continue as the game continues? MBL already has the advantage there. As we kind of hit a lull here in this fight. That's still great play by both players, and either of them could take it, but I do think Hera, right now he does have the military lead, but I think MBL has the map control lead with this wood. And Hera continuing to try to push. I don't think he should be pushing uphill here, even though MBL does have those trebuchets. Probably would be better for Hera trying to push this part of the map, secure those woods. That will be difficult because MBL does have one of his castles here. But this part of the map, perhaps a bit less crucial because there's not as much wood there. Hera kind of has control of this one already. And you're fighting over these ones. These are already chopped a lot. But here we go, a big fight, and here's the thing that's missing. No halberdier for our Spanish player. Could have a few halbs in there, mixing it up with the light calves, but no, the light calves are just basically fighting Hussar and Skirmisher with Chukonu behind them. And at this point in the game, I think as I knocked my glass over there, I think the Chukonu actually probably do a lot more DPS and are a better unit to keep behind the rest of your army than the Conquistadors. Conquistadors are a bit more tanky and mobile, but if you're just fighting in one location, I think I would much prefer to have the Chukonu here. And let's see, Hera, will he decide to move forward? As up here, still small raids, no real attacks from either player. Hera hasn't moved out to this backwood line yet, so still could be in this game for quite a while, as the wood not really beginning to run out yet. But now Skirmisher is moving forward, attacking the light cav, trying to control this area at the bottom of the hill. And well, I mean, the important thing for Hera to control here is the bottom of the hill so that MBL can't get the Trebs in range of that castle. But still, that's a difficult location to control when you have Chukonu who can fight you from the hill. And really, neither player will be able to push into this direction, and this is probably a bit safer position for MBL because his castle's a bit further back. But now, again, he has 2 trebuchets. But the problem is he going to wait for more trebuchets or push in with more trebs? Oh, there we go. We see scale mail armor for Hera. So that might mean a transition to halberdiers in the near future. And now at this point, MBL has recovered in population. Both players pretty much even in villagers, even in military, and that about 70 difference in the KD now isn't that big anymore because of how big the KD is. And MBL moving forward. Nice retreat there by Hera, getting the skirms out of the way. Could have been a pretty big fight there from MBL, putting the light cav on the spread formation so that they stay spread out and don't form that vertical line you see with line formation. But we'll take some losses there, be forced to come back. But still, only 2 trebs for MBL, doesn't really have the gold for another one. Still making more Chukonu. The great thing about the Chukonu is that they are indeed really cheap compared to the Conquistadors. And it'll be much easier for the Chinese player to keep adding Chukonu than it will be for the Spanish players to continue adding Conquistadors now that we've reached the no gold stage. But what is this? MBL trying to do some raids at the top of the base, but raiding with Chukonu actually will lose them to the Hussar. Hera does have quite a large group of Hussar committed to defending the top part of his base, but with them he's not doing any raiding, just using them for defense. And you can't help but think maybe a couple halberdier, a couple skirmishers might be the more effective defense tool up here. Or maybe it's worth it just trying to get villagers to build a wall here. I know the problem is you're out of stone at this point. But just to do something to stop that raiding so you can actually, you know, you're not going to push here, and if you want to change things, you need to do damage to the other side of the map. And of course, it's about watching the game, it's easy to say this, but what does... Hera does pretty much have full scouting information, knows where basically all of the woods are on the map, and same with MBL, who is, you know, almost 100% map exploration. We're seeing a small tile down there, up there, and over in the corners. Ah, man, MBL. So close to 100% map exploration, man, you gotta go for it. Let's see if he gets it by the end of the game. He probably won't get the bottom corner because he already chopped all the forest down that was near that area. Probably won't get it on the top either unless he starts raiding, unless Hera goes to wood and starts raiding it. But anyways, big battle in the middle, but it's mostly just trash units that are going to die. You kind of get into the stalemate part where your gold units are ranged and in the back so they don't die, but it's the trash units that die, and it's also the trash units that you can continue reproducing. So that's going to make these fights go on for quite a long time, especially when the fighting is at the bottom of a hill when neither side can push into the other person's hill. MBL could be trying to do it though, now adding in some more of those heavy scorpions that he had researched earlier. That really wants them probably fighting the skirmishers, not the light cap. And Light Cav being cleaned up there by Hera, and MBL will now have to retreat to his corner, or to his hill. And oh, nice Scorpion passing through that Hussar there. And let's see. Oh, look at all of those dead bodies here in the middle of the map. It's just everything right here in this valley getting killed. But there's still all this little raiding at the top of Hera's base will add up. The problem is that MBL can keep sending Light Cav over here, but all the Vils are already dead. He's killed all the Vils already, man. He needs to get them into the rest of Hera's base. And that's more difficult because Hera does have 3 castles there. And Scorpions now continuing to fire. Chukonu continuing to hold the hill. And yeah, we're just going to see kind of a stalemate here in this valley. Oh, Trebuchet getting hit on the Conquistadors. Oh, it takes one out. Nice. Oh, always nice to see the Trebs getting involved. Can it kill another one? Oh, yes, it does. Yeah, that's something that you kind of underestimate. The ability of Trebs to pick off units. If you just have, these clumped up groups, just fire the Treb at them. Trebs do a ton of damage. But finally we see the Halberdier upgrade coming in for Hera. And that could change the tide of this fight, as if he can mix in some Halbs, he'll be able to take much better fights against the light cavalry. And MBL has now been forced back up on top of his hill. And Hera will not decide to attack up it, deciding instead to preserve his cavalry and not push the hill. So the question is, will Hera be able to push here? No. And what does Hera gain by fighting in this location? Really, not much other than the safety of his castle, which she really can't repair anymore. MBL does have 1 Trebuchet left down here. And now we see the part where Hera is starting to struggle for wood, down on 200 wood, because MBL is still pretty good at that 1k6 wood. We saw earlier how MBL had more wood. Now Hera trying to move his Hussar over to the right side of the map. Now the difference on the right side of the map is MBL has this castle here, whereas Hera's closest castle is a lot further away. So these wood piles, 1, 2, 3, and I guess this one is mostly gone, kind of that one, but these ones over here, I think they should be a lot easier for MBL to control. He probably just needs to start adding in a few more military buildings in this part of the map so he can get the production he needs to hold these wood lines. And now it's this wood line too, which could MBL over chop that tree and let the Hussar in? No, they're going to turn and fight before they get there. But with Light Cav and a few Chuko Nu, and see MBL is missing the final blacksmith upgrade. So this should be a good fight for Hera. But can he kill the Light Cav before the Chuko Nu do too much damage? It looks like Hera should win this, and there we go, killing MBL's Light Cav, still with a big group of Hussar left after that fight. But now, how can you get into this wood line? Yes, he can. Meanwhile, real quick, still a bit of a fight over here, but nothing really making progress there. But here's where we can see MBL trying to quick wall. Here's where we can see actually something happening as Hussar get into MBL's wood line and will kill quite a few villagers. I think MBL will clean this up and regain the wood line though, so probably won't do too much to change the outcome of this game. But it's things like this that Hera really needs to break the stalemate. His base has been under so much pressure from MBL this entire game. He's finally getting a chance to come back and return the favor, applying some pressure to MBL's wood line. And the wood lines are the crucial parts you need to hit at this point in the game. Meanwhile, in the middle, still more of a bloodbath. There's more and more units just going down. We saw earlier that was like 700 something the last time I checked. Now it's 1,000 to 950. So many units dying right in the middle of this valley. This is just the valley of death right here during this game, as these 2 large armies are just going at it, doing everything they can to attack each other. And look at all of those dead bodies. And both sides are going to be retreating. Not quite, still a few units in the middle. Oh, a militia! Yes, Hera is adding in a militia. Moving the militia forward to engage in the fight. That's 1 brave militia. And now it's Hera's turn to go back to the hill as MBL is coming in on the bottom. And both players kind of retreating now, holding their own sides, and just kind of doing a dance of one player moves forward, the other player moves back. One moves forward, the other moves back. And the key part is that both players keeping the gold units in the back and the trash units in the front. Up here, we still, same thing we've been having for a while, a few light cav trying to make some progress, MBL trying to control this wood line. If Hera can't take wood here, he's going to be in trouble. He's finished the wood here, finishing the wood here, has finished the wood over here, is basically taking wood right next to the battleground. MBL, he definitely has scouted this, but just hasn't noticed it yet to send stuff over there to stop it. But we see MBL doing okay on wood, meanwhile Hera, not quite as much. But now with a few halberdier mixed in, we'll have to see how does the halberdier change the outcome of this fight. I mean, both sides do have unique units that basically specialize in killing halberdier with the gunpowder unit and the Chuko Nu. But now MBL starting to make some progress at the top of the base. At the top of Hera's base, taking a hill with his Chuko Nu. And having him in a pretty good position even inside of all of Hera's houses, so the cavalry won't be able to get as good of a surround on them, and that they will need to go uphill through a narrow gap, try to pathfind their way just to get to the Chuko Nu. And this will probably be a pretty cost-effective fight for MBL. You know, it's kind of weird saying that when it's gold units versus trash units, but has the Chuko Nu in a pretty good location where they're all clumped up and not really able to be attacked that well, but still, not enough of them. So many Hussar right there just spawning from these stables. Might have been good even for Hera to have deleted these houses so that he could have surrounded the Chuko Nu a bit better. But meanwhile, it looks like, oh, a Treb here from Hera. Only one trebuchet though. What's one trebuchet going to do? It's going to kill a stable and then get taken out. As more Hussar going down. And oh, what's this? A few Hussars sneaking into the left side of MBL's base. Oh, a villager. And oh, what is Hera trying to do with that villager? Now, it's not going to do anything because it will die to the light cav. And trying to run the Hussar back and forth to protect it. That would have been cool. But no, he is not going to get a sneak into MBL's base. Probably would have seen him try to return the favor and make some stables down, you know, down here, over here, somewhere. The problem is MBL just has so much map vision, he would spot that pretty much wherever it is, unless it was hidden back here. He would just actually have to be paying attention. But now Hera coming in at the top again, going for the wood line. We see MBL had moved out to try to take wood here. Now he's adding a house to add a bit more wall protection. Oh, but there's a hole over here. Hera could get behind. And Hera, again, has the Hussar, has the numbers he needs to win the fight. The good thing for MBL, though, is that he has the castle here. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 stables already in this part of the map. He has the market if he wants to make trade carts. He can produce units to deal with these Hussar. And, you know, he might overall lose the fight, but he will clean up these units. And he did lose quite a few villagers on that wood line. We see both players now starting to lose villagers. MBL down to 94. As, ooh, he even has some light cav in the back of Hera's base now. In the fog off. And killing the villagers. There's one down. And another one going down there. And Hera doesn't really have an answer to that right now. It needs to move his Hussar over, but probably he's just been raided so much he hasn't noticed. And this will be... oh, he's noticed and he's fighting with the villagers. But villagers, they're actually killing the light cav. Oh, they're Spanish villagers. He's done supremacy. Now Hera has Spanish villagers. Didn't notice that earlier. Hasn't really been using them in the fight, but that's going to protect him so much from all of that raiding. I was going to say villagers aren't that good at killing the light cav, but these are Spanish villagers. As long as they are indeed microed, they'll kill that light cav. Alright, so that changes things. That's going to make MBL's raiding all that much more difficult because the villagers are just so much tankier now with double the HP and some armor, the ability to fight back. And now, Hera's kind of not really going for the fight in the valley approach anymore so much as the try to get into MBL's economy by running your army to its death through MBL's army. Yeah. You do need skirmishers to fight Chukonu, but Chukonu can kill the skirmishers. Now we see him trying to use the conquistadors again, adding in, oh yes, yet another militia. Perfect. And now we're at 1 hour and 46 minutes into this game, and it's still either player's game. Both of these players have things going for them. The only thing is MBL has a bit more wood, but he'll start to lose some of those wood villages as Hussar come in on the right-hand side. But this is a big loss for, I think, Hera, as the Chukonu sitting behind the light cav should be able to do a lot of damage to those Hussar. And yeah, it looks like, I can't really tell who's winning that fight. Yeah, it looks like MBL will win that. Just those Chukonu in the back, they are so powerful, able to... Yeah, I think, no, if that was purely Hussar versus light cav, Hera might have won that, but then that is a big loss for Hera. And we keep an eye on those KD. There's still about 70 different. That's what they've been pretty much the entire game. For the past hour or so of gameplay, it's just been these two players trading neck and neck with each other. And now MBL finally realizing that he hasn't done blacksmith, has not done blast furnace at the blacksmith, and he's researching that. As Hera is continuing to try for the run your army through MBL's army to get into his base approach, but he's going to give up on that as he's taking a ton of damage to Chukonu, and now running away from that wood. So the problem I'm starting to see for Hera is how is he going to continue adding in skirmishers, because he has no wood. He has 4 villagers collecting wood, and one of them's idle at the back of his base. MBL's controlling all of these wood lines here. He has one wood line in the middle of the map, probably just because MBL hasn't spotted that. Could send those light cav there right now, and they're not running towards it. But now is the part of the game where I think MBL has this, just because he's done such a better job of controlling the woods. And now light cav getting in, killing some farm villagers from Hera, but both players kind of similar in population, at least in villager counts. Hera is slightly ahead, but Hera is dropping in population. We see that he had been queuing villagers probably to make up for the lost villagers due to the raiding, which is good, but now he is slowly but surely being pushed further and further back up this hill and out of this valley. And this castle here, what a great castle placement by MBL, able to control the wood lines with the Chukonu to kill any Hussar that try to raid here. And with just enough light cav to engage the Hussar, he's able to take some really good fights. And if he even needs to, can keep the Chukonu underneath the castle. But still, armies dying at the foot of this hill. All those dead bodies just stacking up on top of each other. As the player is continuing just to trade army in the middle here. And up at the top, some light cav running in, doing some more raiding, and critically, going for this wood line. That's exactly where MBL is sending his light cav, for the wood. He knows that he has the wood control at this point. And while these castle positions might have been crucial to keeping Hera protected from that raiding earlier in the game, at this point they're not protecting the wood lines like MBL's castle is. I mean, look at this castle, also kind of allowing him to protect this wood line. He just needs to send some light cav to this wood here, and he will probably completely dominate Hera from that point forward, because he won't be able to add in the extra trash units. And let's just take a quick look at the achievement screen. I'll also give me a chance to drink some water, and let's look at the economy stats. There we are. Now, it's this wood difference going to be key as the game ends. Hera already has a huge food lead, but problem is he's been spending it. So let's see, if you look at the resources, MBL floating some wood, Hera floating less wood. And with the lower population now he's going to be needing to spend more resources just to keep his population count up. And finally, MBL, he has seen this wood line and will send in the light cav to attack those villagers. Hera just trying to go anywhere he can for wood. And MBL, if we look at these stables, let's try to find the gather points. Okay, no gather points. I was hoping to see a gather point back there at the wood, but that's not there yet. And ooh, even trying to do some raiding with Chukonu, getting them in, clumping them up, but eventually losing them to the Hussar and to the Supremacy villagers. Vil should probably just fight back there, but we'll be content with running away. The Trebuchet now coming forward, doing some damage on the stable. As the Chukonu engaging these skirmishers. Stable just might go down, maybe? Let's see, Treb's doing a bit of damage to it. Not sure if the stable... Well, that will help MBL just inch himself forward. We still see Hera, though, with the score lead. A lot of that's due to probably just kill-death ratio and the extra food he's gathered. This hill, now MBL started to get units actually on the hill while fighting, but we see them quickly being taken out. That hill advantage is just so important, but the number of Conquistador continuing to shrink. Meanwhile, the number of Chukonu for MBL still pretty healthy, still pretty large. And now, what is Hera doing for wood? This wood will probably be denied. Or at least it should be denied. Just like put one Chukonu right here, you deny that. This wood is being completely denied. That wood's going to run out. That wood has one villager on it. And we're going to have to keep on Hera's point of view to keep track of his wood. And yep, now that one being denied by the Chukonu. And fight in the middle with the skirmishers. But now that Hera is running out of wood, how's he going to be able to continue replacing the skirmishers? That is going to be difficult for him. And now, can the Chukonu fight the Conquistadors here? Not the skirmishers with the Conquistador. Is it not going to do as much damage against the skirmishers? But a few clutch halbs cleaning up the light cav. And the ram coming forward for MBL. Wanting the ram to clean up the Conquistadors, and oh, the Chukonu getting quite a bit of damage on the Conquistadors. Oh, but overcommitting and moving too far forward up the hill. MBL must have not been paying attention to that, as the Chukonu let themselves get out of position, and pretty good job by Hera to use that as an opportunity to take out the Treb. Nice work by him. Looks like over here there's a few Hussar trying to get into MBL's wood line, but MBL, let's see. Does he have other places to take wood? Not really, just back here. That's better than Hera. But now he's going to start losing villagers on his wood line, and this is crucial, as MBL going to lose a ton of villagers, and it's really going to hurt his wood production. Or his wood collection, I guess. He don't really produce it. Right now, another lumber camp here, as these two close by forests are going to be shared by both players. And now with this army in control of this area of the map, I mean, there's this one wood line here, but once that's taken up, does this area of the map really matter anymore? I mean, sure, Hera has farms here, but it's the wood that really matters. And now Hera looks like he's moved more of his army. With the larger military, he's able to put the military on this side of the base, and MBL is dropping in population down to about 160 to this 200. Does that mean he's hit a point where he can't produce army to keep up with Hera anymore? This could be the end of MBL, as Hera finally denying MBL from taking wood. No wood means no Chukonu. No Chukonu means you can't defend this from Hussar like you were able to before. And even has a Conquistador over here, harassing the villagers on those wood lines. We see that MBL, his villager count has to be queuing some more villagers, and does have some good resources stockpiled, and he is now queuing villagers. Good job by him, but slowly but surely, he has just enough Chukonu. He can continue fighting the Hussar and take them out, and he's forced to bring over a large group of light cav to deal with this. Now, this army will soon be cleaned up, but will Hera be able to make progress on the left-hand side, while MBL's army is split up over there? Because now Hera has Hussar cleaning up that Chukonu, coming into MBL's farms, and now looks like MBL's the one under pressure. I thought things were looking pretty good for him, but now Hera's managed to pull this back, as they're still fighting in the middle of this valley. Still haven't progressed out of that, but the difference is now Hera has gone around and is running into MBL's base. So can he do more damage with the Hussar, cause more idle times on the farms that he ends up losing from when he inevitably loses the Hussar. Spearman coming out for MBL. And the interesting thing is MBL not even done the Pikeman upgrade, just the Spearman upgrade. And like even the Hussar fighting uphill, able to take out the Spearman because of all the upgrades. And that's no armor upgrades on the Pikeman either for MBL, just going to piggyback off of the light cap upgrades they have. But meanwhile, on the right-hand side of the map, now it's Hera who's being raided. And he might lose control of his only remaining wood line, as lots of light cav from MBL are forcing the Conquistadors back to deal with them. And these are the gold units now that are not going to be fighting, but if you look at the minimap real quick, they're actually not fighting in the middle of the valley right now, just trying to clean up this spot. Now the extra house is going to work in Hera's favor, as the light cav won't be able to engage the Conquistadors that well. Nice positioning of the units there by Hera. And let's see, will these light cav go down soon? Almost down. And now that rating is cleaned up. Well, almost cleaned up, but basically cleaned up at this point. And now a big push in this valley as light cav are heading out into the hill with Chukonu behind them. Trying to take a fight on the hill. MBL trying to run his Hussar into the Hera, trying to run the Hussar into the Chukonu, get a good fight on them, but they end up fighting against the light cav and they'll be taken out pretty quickly. Meanwhile, the few halbs here mixed in with the skirmishers are able to protect them from the light cav, and we'll see will the same thing happen again, as the light cav are forced away from the halbs. Both players now continuing to trade raids into each other's base. But no, not much progress from either. Now things looking really even. Vil counts even for both players. Military slightly ahead for Hera, and KD still very, very similar. Maybe the one advantage for MBL is he is ahead 3 relics to 2. But Hera, oh, where's his 4th castle? I know he has these 3 here, but that's one. Oh, there's one just out there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah. So MBL not going to be able to raid any of this left side of the farms because of all the castles there. Problem is, castles just are not protecting wood. And that's the difference. MBL has this castle protecting the wood. And now another fight in the middle. Halbs mixed in. I do like the mixture of halberdier because they really do such a quick job of killing these light cav. Oh man, these hill positions just make for such a big stalemate. It's like watching the World Chess Championships where we just have a whole bunch of draws, one right after another. Just, you got a big stalemate right here. See any more raiding going on? No, MBL is just going to be chopping wood happily on the right side of his map. Hera has a few lumberjacks working here, a few working at the back, but Hera's wood's going to run out much sooner. Still trying to continually coming down to this wood line. And now the advantage of controlling this valley means that you control this wood line. And this one too. And somewhat this one, but that castle kind of does such a good job of controlling that. And now Hera losing Conquistadors on the front, letting them... Oh, looks like Hera wasn't paying attention. They're losing quite a few Conquistadors to the Chukonu that he probably shouldn't have. And meanwhile, MBL pushing in with light cav, but Hera looks like he has the bigger numbers there, especially since their Hussar will be able to push that back, and will be able to get into this wood here. As this fight looks like it probably should go for Hera, even though MBL does have a nice position for his Chukonu inside that little choke point. Hera will eventually be able to get to them right now. He doesn't have any skirmishers immediately nearby, but we'll at least bring over 3. I was going to say 1, but then I saw the 2nd and then the 3rd. But still Chukonu. Chukonu do such a great job of taking out the Hussar. But oh, here's some more light cav from MBL. Moving them over from the left flank to get them into Hera's base to take a good fight in the back. MBL is dropping in population, but I think he'll win this fight, actually. And that will be pushed off of this wood line, losing so many villagers on his wood. And oh, I missed that earlier. Hera had come onto that wood line. MBL still taking wood in the back. Hera is running out of wood in the back of his base, though. And now Hera can't control this wood. Nothing there. Losing his army on the front. Knocked off of this wood. And now we're at the part where Hera has absolutely no wood income. MBL still does have some wood. So if we look at the economic stats, we see 9 lumberjacks for Hera compared to the 15 lumberjacks for MBL, and that could be the difference in this game. As we see in this valley, see could the Chukonu finally win this valley? So I guess we'll look over here for now, as they're taking out the halberdier, and the skirmisher numbers now are starting to dwindle for Hera as the bulk of his army has been over here on the right side. And with no wood, I guess his thought process is, I have to stop MBL's wood. That's the only way I'm going to win this game. If I keep fighting in that valley, I'm just going to lose. And now trying to stop this wood over here, and that's something, MBL probably should not be able to take that. Because Hera, he needs to do something. He can attack it even from downhill from this angle too. Now Hera kind of needs to think, he's always been attacking here, maybe if he attacks from this angle a bit, he can stop the wood a bit better. And also we have Hussar in the back, so now MBL also has 0 lumberjacks right now. I mean, I think MBL's in a much better position to take control back of the woods, but right now neither player has any wood income, as Hera forced to move to this pile here. And now there might not be a single tree left on this map by the time the game is over. Man, sometimes you see draws on water maps because they run out of wood and then they don't have the ability to land units and fight each other effectively. But you never really see draws on Arabia, but you do see games like this that go to the point where you run completely out of wood. And oh man, this has been such a great game. It was so back and forth in the beginning. Now we got to the stage where the wood is running out. Both players trading raids several times, and they had a few points where each player had been dropping down to that, that 150 population mark where it can be, you drop too far below that and it gets really hard to recover. But now, let's see, what are we going to see from Hera? Large army of conquistadors. Don't want to fight against the Chukonu with the conquistadors though. Really need to make sure the skirmishers are doing the fighting. There we go. Light Cav versus skirmishers. Light Cav will run away. And both players equal on vills now, but it's MBL who's starting to drop slowly in militaries, getting down into the 170s. That's okay, kind of, the standard thing, you might fluctuate there throughout a battle. But now what is Hera doing? The question is, does Hera have a way to take out this castle? No, he doesn't have any siege units left. So how is he going to push this side? It's going to be so difficult with this castle here, because MBL he's able to control Chukonu in this part of the map. There's a nice hill here, and now Hera, it looks like he's shifting his focus from this valley maybe over to this hill, because he knows he has wood here and here that he needs to protect. And if he can keep his army here, that means he can keep MBL's army here too. Have to start to wonder, maybe, just maybe, you can get a few sneaky trebuchets to kill a castle, but I guess Chukonu would be really good at taking out trebuchets just like they are at killing rams. And now Hera, yeah, looks like he's shifting his focus onto this hill, but Chukonu, what can they do? Can they harass villagers? Yes, they can. It might be supremacy villagers, but they still can be idled if they're being shot at. And Hera, looks like, will win this fight probably. So yeah, the skirmishers in a good position to force the Chukonu back. We'll be able to continue chopping wood there and there. And we see slightly, 3,000 difference in the score, but at this point in the game, that is not really big when players have such a huge score already. As we're going to 2 hours and 12 minutes. Oh man, and MBL going to lose his army on this hill. I think Hera's going to win this fight. But can he push the momentum into taking out these Chukonu? And we see a slight difference in population. Can Hera open up that pop difference even more? Nice, using the lumber camps as a shield, getting the Chukonu underneath the castle, as now MBL bringing the rest of his army over from the left side, completely focusing here. As a few skirmishers are getting in here, but that means, if Hera wanted to, he could send some units to go and raid, but problem is he's already raided this side of the base and there's no real villagers left. Oh man, ooh, a trebuchet out for Hera though. And the question is, does he go for this castle or this castle? I think he probably wants to go for this one because he knows that one's the key to getting to MBL's wood. MBL able to still take some wood over here, but this one is now starting to run out. And all the wood on the map really starting to run out now. And this castle being attacked and going down. There we are. Oh man, this castle going down. Trebuchet firing at it. But only one treb. It's really hard to take down castles with only one treb, but the good thing for Hera is that MBL doesn't have much stone, but he does have 2,000 wood. Man, that's a lot of wood for this stage in the game. And, I mean, with all that wood, I feel like MBL probably will take this. His plays have been so even throughout the game, but MBL's just done a better job of controlling these woods. Hera, though, with a slightly bigger military, and now here is a big engagement or not, as the cavalry are going to run away. Chukunu, they do have a slight hill. Oh, that's good for MBL too. The castle is on the hill. Just doesn't have any stone to repair it. Could sell food to buy stone, maybe? But I guess the stone price might even be... No, I don't see the stone price there. Might even be kind of high. Yeah, MBL, it looks like he's probably losing this fight, but he does take out the trebuchet. But oh, now the Death Valley is shifted over here underneath this hill and this tiny hill. It's a tiny hill, but you know, it's still a hill. In Age of Empires, a hill is a hill, no matter how tall. And let's see, Chukunu still kind of chasing, doing the chase retreat, doing some damage. But I guess the good thing for Hera is his economy has not been harassed at all, because, well, there's nothing to harass. There's supremacy villas under castles, and then... Oh, but the difference is he does have 24 idle villagers. I guess MBL is able to use his villas to collect wood, whereas Hera is just having them stand idle. If that's very costly for Hera too. That's army space that he could be having. It's like, imagine if his army with 25 more units in it, he could really take some better fights. MBL has 2 idle villas because it looks like he probably had to rebuild his market because his other market was up here. Yeah. But from Hera's point of view, as idle villas all over his base. Doesn't have the wood to rebuild farms, that's why they're idle. Now he's starting to fix that a bit, but what's he going to do with them? He can't rebuild farms without wood, and he can't take wood because there is no wood left. And now MBL coming in with the military advantage, with a large group of light cavalry, and will push Hera off of the hill, but more importantly, off of the wood line. And we'll even take out a trebuchet in the process. That's 200 gold and also 200 wood at this point in the game. And now Hera just still trying to mix in those halberdier with his hussar to kill the light cav, but these Chukunu, they do such a good job at killing the trash units. And even better than the conquistadors, which themselves are good at killing trash. And now we're down to 1 wood line and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wood villagers for Hera. Meanwhile, MBL, this wood still lasting him. He has quite a few villas there. Looks like they're both going to share this wood line for now. Sharing is, at this stage of the game, important. But Hera is still so many idle villas. He's at like 500 wood. MBL is still at over 1,000. Does manage to retake the hill, but will be difficult to get villagers back up to that wood line now. As MBL just continually, I think he might even be adding more and more Chukunu. He has pretty much a full group there of about 40 or so. And oh man, this game has gone on for such a long time. It's like at the end of, it's like end game in chess where you're just moving your rooks back and forth and not really able to take any pawns. But let's see. Oh, some raiding down here. Oh, that's nice. MBL had lost the relics in that monastery, which only had 1 relic in the monastery. Where are his other monasteries? Yeah, the other 2 are over here. So losing 1 of the relics. So now the players are even on relics. So this is getting even more even, as both players now starting to drop in population and both starting to rack up huge numbers of idle villagers as Hera is trying to do some raiding inside of MBL's base, just sending all of his hussar forward to get in there. MBL has that wood stockpiled, but this is going to be the last of Hera's food as he's spending it all on hussar as they try to go forward, but he's killing so many villagers on these farms. Hasn't gotten to that wood line, but if you look at that, MBL is now down to about 60 villagers. Hera's down to 84, but that might just be him trying to add in more army. He's now sending them to the castles to be safe. And now, if he only has farms, and both players soon will have only farms, Hera will be more safe. And they're both dropping down to like 140 pop. Man, this game is so even. Man, I love the Chinese-Spanish late game matchup because I feel like in the Castle Age, the Chinese probably have a huge advantage with the camels, but then it just becomes so even when they try to trade Chuko News versus really good Spanish trash at Conquistadors. And now, big push from MBL, going straight for the Treb. Treb had been trying to kill the castle and actually has pretty low on HP, but Chuko Nu are able to take out the Treb. Nice snipe there from MBL. Hera just doesn't have a good, big, massive trebuchets. Just kind of has... We've seen that from both players, just having one or two trebs here and there, not really able to mass them up. But now another wood line controlled by MBL. And Vils, when you consider the idle Vils pretty much even, but MBL has the bigger military at this point. And this is like Hera's 47 wood, MBL on 2,000. I think MBL pretty much has gotten this now. The thing is, he can continue to use the wood to produce his Chuko Nu. Let's see, can I view the market prices if I press F11 repeatedly? No, I can't. I can just turn the overlay on and off. I forget how to switch the panels. But now another fight. Ooh, but MBL losing some light cav against Halberdier is not the best fight for him in that position. Without the Chuko Nu there to back him up. And it's still a big group of conquistadors for Hera. He's been able to keep them alive. Still has 4 castles to protect this side. Light cav being taken out by Hussar. Killing a couple of Vils, but again, Supremacy Vils. Don't need to worry too much about them. And both players, though, they can't continue keeping their populations up. MBL was at around 2,000 wood, has spent quite a bit of that dropping in wood. And it doesn't have the food to continue adding in light cav. Hera doesn't have anything left. There's that light cav going down, and we're starting to reach the point where the game, it's gone on long enough. It has to end eventually. There's Hera losing this wood again. And does Hera have any... No, that's been taken out. That's been completely finished. This has been controlled by MBL. So Hera, absolutely 0 wood income. All he can do is send villagers forward and hope that they can take some wood before they die. I mean, the evil thing for MBL might even be start killing lumber camps and hope that Hera doesn't have the wood to rebuild them. He'd have to go try to reseed a farm with some villagers somewhere. And let's see, Halb's cleaning up this army. And now MBL, we see MBL starting to climb back in population. That just signals he has more wood and he's able to produce more units. You see that military advantage in his favor too. But Hera still does have the score lead, does have some more Hussar doing some raiding. This really isn't the area he needs to raid. MBL could lose some villagers on farms, but that's not the crucial resource at this point in the game. And now MBL is committing his entire army over onto this hill. Man, this valley was so important earlier, but no one's been fighting there in a really long time. Both players just deciding to move on over to this side of the map. And there we go, Hussar being taken out by the castle. And so, this castle position just ended up being so good for MBL, able to protect his wood lines. And now Conquistadors attacking some light cav, Chuko Nu coming in from the side. And still, both players, 176 population for each of them. Hera has managed to catch up despite the absence of wood in his base, and he's still queuing up tons and tons of Hussar. He does have these farms. The problem will be when he needs to replant the farms. We've already seen him with quite a few idle villagers and quite a few blank spaces where there are no farms. But he's able to control that hill, able to keep the stalemate going on top of that hill. And MBL just is not going to be able to push in. There you go, more light cav fighting. And, oh, he's deleting buildings just so he can control his army a bit better. That's interesting. I would think that maybe with the Chuko Nu, you want the buildings there in case they need to retreat. They'll have a nice tight space to retreat into, but I guess you do have the house and the cliff right there anyway for that. And now he is trying to take this fight up that hill. And it'd be so great if MBL could get like one tower behind that wood line. Oh man, that would be so devastating. But I guess he really doesn't have the stone to do that, or the resources to buy stone anyway. And now here comes some light cap. They've gotten into this wood line here on the left. They're trying to push further into this wood line on the center. The thing is, MBL doesn't even need to push the hill, just needs to push this area, which is right underneath his castle, so he can just kind of get there, stand behind the wood. And now this looks like a really good fight for MBL, taking out a lot of Hera's army. We see Hera dropping in military numbers. He's bringing in the conquistadors from behind. And this might be the fight MBL needs to take the game, as he has pretty much completely cleaned up Hera's army. He still has resources in the bank. Well, he just spent like 2,000 food, but he has 1,500 wood, and Hera has no resources left at all. And can MBL... Oh man, he still has light cav over here. He still has a good army of Chukonu. Probably wants to group them up before fighting, but doing a great job. Ooh, even underneath the castle now. And now with light cav and Chukonu, will push in onto this hill, kill some skirmishers with the light cap, force the villagers off the wood. The villagers are coming to the only wood line that's left, but MBL even has some light cap there. Hussar coming around the back trying to kill MBL's wood villagers. That villager chopping by himself and doesn't have a place to drop it off. Hera, no, soon he won't have wood to build more lumber camps, but I think this has gone really good for MBL, and he has forced Hera down to about 140 population. That's the point where it's really hard to come back, especially as someone at 180 population. Huge difference of 40 military. And MBL, he can just push in. If he takes this hill, then it's pretty much game over. He will lose some vills on that wood line, but now is able to push in on the right with these light cav and some of his Chukonu. And at 2.5 hours in the game, we've finally seen some progress, and it looks like MBL finally will take this game. Just able to secure a bit more wood. And let's just watch this battle here. I think this probably will end it. Oh man, these Chukonu now just managing to move in. Take out the skirmishers on top of the hill. And there you go. Look at all those arrows being fired by the Chukonu, raining down on top of the hill, taking out all of the units there. And there we go. Now the conquistadors not even attacking. Looks like they're on no attack stance or something even. Hera probably quickly changed that. And oh man, I think MBL just push straight up that hill, and you'll take out the conquistadors. And once you can take out the conquistadors, also the only real units that can kill your light cap at this point anymore. So let's see, we have a few Hussar, getting over here, getting behind the castles, killing the villagers, idling some others. Great raiding by MBL, really taking out the villagers of Hera, and this huge population difference. MBL is going to carry this. Don't know why he's refusing to fight the conquistadors, but I think he'll absolutely kill them once he engages with the Chukonu. But could this finally be the end? Look at all those dead bodies on the hill. So many, over 2,000 kills, and we still see that KD so even. It's been through that about 50 to 70 different in favor of Hera the entire game. But now MBL finally will probably be able to change that as he cleans up this army. And there we go. MBL has taken the hill, and with that, the final wood. And there is the GG from Hera, and at 2 hours, 33 minutes, and 31 seconds, this Arabia game is finally over. Man, what a game. So well played, so even from both players, and at the end decided by control of the wood. Even MBL, all of his wood had run out at the back there. Hera just trying so desperately to outlast MBL, but not enough. All right, let's look at the achievements. So KD still so close, within 50 units. Economy, that 15,000 wood difference for MBL, that's the game right there. Technology, MBL was up. We did see him go for that nice 2TC Imperial to go for the ram push to clean up his base at the beginning. But, oh man, Relic Gold still, only 1,000 difference for both players. Hera with that huge villager high. But man, look at that timeline, man. You see, just at the end when Hera started running out of wood, when things changed. So, oh man. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Congratulations if you managed to watch all of that. So thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you later.